Welcome back to the third episode of the Between the Lines podcast. Today we have an international guest coming all the way from Taiwan. We have Mr. William Pan joining us, better sometimes known as Will I Am. Will, how you doing out there in Taiwan right now?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Actually, can't be better, except for missing you guys. Everything here is well functioning. I can hit the gym frequently, go party, get myself hammered, whatever. I'm doing everything here and dating a lot.
Oh yeah, glad to have you, bro. Glad to see that you're still going out and partying, getting hammered.
Yes, sir.
Think we all wish we could be doing that right now here in America. With that being said, today's show will include a debate about the greatest starting five in NBA history, as well as a selection of the sixth man they'll be including onto that five-man roster of the greatest all-time players. In addition, we'll be talking about athletes that inspired us to get involved with sports and stars that we enjoyed just watching play in general. Now, before we really start off here, we're going to go into the sports time machine again. So for April 30th, I have Jameis Winston. He was the number one overall selection in the NFL draft by the Tampa Bay Bucks in the 2015 draft. Jameis is obviously no longer with the Bucks, as Tom Brady is now the quarterback there. So that didn't pan out fully like they hoped it would. But that being said, let's pass it over to Tiago.
Yeah, I'll throw it back to 1976. On April 30th, Muhammad Ali has beaten Jimmy Young in 15 rounds for the heavyweight boxing title. I'm a big boxing fan, so I thought this would be a nice sports moment to bring that up.
Nice, I like it. On mine, I'm going to go to 1961 with Willie Mays. I'm going to do this because this is my first time in this new city, San Francisco, so just shouting out fellow San Francisco Giant where he hit 4 home runs today. So that was a big game for him and for the city of San Francisco.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. All right, let's just hop right into this thing. So I think Tiago's going to take it here with the first selection at point guard.
Before I get started, I'm just going to say that my decisions for this top 5 and the 6 man was mostly based on players that I would love to see playing together, mixed from different generations and players that had a big impact on me. So obviously it won't be just like Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, LeBron, and Shaq on my roster. I'll just be putting players that I thought they would fit on together and they would make a great team either ways. But it's a personal opinion. So on my first pick as my point guard, I mean, you guys know me. I was about to do something very crazy, but I changed my mind and I went with Allen Iverson as my point guard. I got to mention here, John Wall was into my consideration because of his defensive skill. Wall has been one of my favorite players in his prime. But, Iverson had to take this spot. I just love the way he plays and the way he changed the game, either in court or off the court. So I'll go with him. Huge playmaker.
All right. So for my point guard, I'm going to go with Steph Curry. I've changed the game. And I'm thinking if we're going to play this, let's say we're to play a game now with all the players that we choose, I'm going to want Steph Curry because the way the game is played is no longer kind of like a mid-range game. You need somebody who's going to pull up sometimes at a ridiculous, spot on the court. That's just what we need, and that's just what the game is. And, props to him. He made it that way. So I take Steph Curry.
Now it's my turn. My point guard, I would take John Stockton. Because when it comes to all-time players, there are so many versatile players who can score, who can play defense, but we need a team player to organize the team, who can pass the ball to the right player, who has an open shot to take. So I would take John Stockton for that reason.
Nice.
Very cool. I think that was a little bit of a surprise. I did not expect to hear John Stockton today, but I like it. For my point guard position, I'm going to have to go with the man, Magic Johnson, bro. That guy changed the game. You think about guys like LeBron James that now play the point forward position. At 6'9", 225, Magic's the biggest point guard that ever came into the league at that time. He dominated. You look at his averages. They're not, wildly amazing. He averaged 20 points a game, 11 boards, 7 assists. It's not like the Steph Curry pouring in 27 a game, 9, 8 assists. But you just look at his attributes, his IQ on the court, He got wherever he wanted to go. He picked apart defenses with his passing. And also, if he hadn't had to cut his career short due to his positive HIV test after 12 years in the league, his legacy would have only been further cemented. I understand the argument here for Steph Curry, but for my all-time team, I'd like to have Magic Johnson at the point because I think he'd just be the ringleader and the catalyst for the rest of the squad.
All right, that's a great pick. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I was struggling with Magic Johnson and John Stockton, but ultimately I would say John Stockton.
I did not expect John Stockton, honestly. So
yeah, he took that one. I didn't see that one either.
Yeah,
we all have great picks on this one, but I'm gonna roll with my Allen Iverson all day. You know what I'm saying? Anyways,
right.
I'm going to my second pick, my shooting guard. It's obviously the man himself.
Okay.
Miami, D-Wade. I mean, I grew up watching that guy. It's just it gives me the goosebumps just thinking of his highlights, especially in 2006. It's a guy who's a playmaker, who knows how to play in the team. We all know how he adapted his game with LeBron and through the ages. He's a very humble guy on the court, and I think any team needs a person like that, a person that passes the ball, a person that knows how to play with another superstar, knows how to adapt to the best situations. So D-Wade was a no-brainer for me, although I thought about guys like Kobe Bryant or Vince Carter, but, I mean, I just had to roll with D-Wade. You know, it's my guy.
Wait, before Kyle goes in here, you said Vince Carter and Kobe Bryant. Did Michael Jordan not factor into your thought processes?
Mm-hmm.
I told you it was players that I watch it playing.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
I like that. I'm gonna do a little hometown thing too, or favorite team thing too. So for this one, I'm gonna go with Jason Kidd, right? But here's my thought process on it. I already got Steph at 1, and I have Kidd at 2, but it's interchangeable. So
correct.
The way we're playing now, it doesn't have to be, Steph has the ball every single time because he is the point guard. You could have either player running it. So I'd like to see those two together. And I was going back and forth all day. So I think I'm just going to settle with Jason Kidd, and that's going to be my 1 and 2 right there, Steph and Kidd. So.
Okay, for me, it would be a lot easier. That's Michael Jordan for sure. And he's right here. Michael Jordan, my all-time favorite. I don't have to explain much now. I'll talk about Michael Jordan later and how Michael Jordan has a huge impact on my basketball and my overall career.
Absolutely, Will. You took the thunder right away from me there. There's no question. MJ has got to be the man. He was and is the best shooting guard to ever play the game. Career averages of 30 points a game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 6-time championship, 5-time league MVP, 6 times final MVP. I could just keep listing off accolades, but it really wouldn't be worth it. And another thing that you have to think about when it comes to Michael Jordan is before Jordan came into the league in 1984, the league was largely centered around big man at the center position. He revolutionized the game. He made it so guys like Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, the most incredible guards that you now see playing the game, it's because of Michael Jordan that the game now is the way it is. And you look at his influence off the court, Michael Jordan is a brand. You see it everywhere in the world, whether you're in Taiwan, whether you're in China, whether you're in Europe, whether anywhere. His shoes, clothing, apparel, it speaks for itself. So I have to go with MJ as the shooting guard on my team.
Yeah, I've never seen him play, but I still love him. His legacy, his impact on the court, off the court, will always be there.
Absolutely,
definitely.
I feel you guys.
Yeah. Hey, Max, may I have your address?
Whose address?
Your address. I want to send a high five to you.
High five, Tiago. Take us away at shooting forward.
For my third guy and my small forward, I needed shooters on these teams, so I decided to pick my favorite shooter of all time, Jesus himself. The guy I was able to see play in Miami, big Ray Allen.
What?
Man, he's a versatile player too. He can shoot the ball, he can drive to the basket in his prime. Guy can fit as a small forward like a glove. And it's like I said, it's players that had big impact on me. I was able to see Ray Allen play in Miami, do that big show we all know in the finals. And I know that on his prime in the Supersonics times, he was just a beast, man. A guy can shoot, and I definitely need a shooter. If I picked D-Wade and Iverson first, I need a 3-point specialist, and I'm going with Ray Allen.
Okay. Tiago, your team is very interesting. Very interesting. That's all I got to say. But I see your thought process. So on this one, I'm gonna take the man, Kobe Bean. So I gotta say R.I.P.
At the three,
Yeah.
you're taking him at the okay.
I'm gonna put him at 3 here. So go Kobe at the 3, and that just continues to set up the rest of my team right there. Now we have shooters 1 and 2, crazy good point guards, and then you have Kobe, that all around bucket getter. He's gonna get buckets no matter what. He can drop anywhere from 30 to 60 any given night. So you get the ball in that man's hand and he's shooting it. It's going up, it's going in. So I got Kobe.
Hey, Tiago, I like your thoughts on Ray Allen because during his prime, he was very physical. He could dunk, he could fly, he could do all sorts of things on the court. And I like your thought on Ray Allen to be your small forward. But for me, I would take LeBron James. I was thinking about the same thing like you did. I was thinking about having a shooter on team as my small forward. But, diversity is what we talked about. So I'm going to take LeBron James because I want to have different players from different eras. So I would take LeBron James. And I was thinking about Scottie Pippen because defensive end and offensive end, he's been dominating and he's been helping Jordan a lot. Jordan couldn't have won any championship without Scottie, but I would take LeBron James because his impact is so huge. Large to the point that I was still not buying his team, but I like him.
Yeah, totally. And I think when we come back here, maybe at the 6-man position, Scottie Pippen might come up for me again. But that being said, at small forward, Will just said it, man. It's got to be LeBron James. 3 rings, 4 MVP awards. He has the record of being selected first team All NBA at the highest clip of any player that's ever played at 12 different times. I mean, you think about like what makes LeBron unique, like his ability to pass the ball at the size he plays at. He can rebound with anyone on the floor. He can go up against centers, power forwards, and against the tall trees and pull them down. And he can score the basket in so many ways. Can make it happen in the post, fadeaways. He can hit mid-range, and he can even step behind the line. I think as he's gotten older in his career, his clutch factor has only gone up. And I talk about Jordan and his brand being bigger than basketball. Same thing with LeBron James. It's like no matter where you go in the world, you see that LeBron James brand everywhere, and he's a global icon. So at 3, it's got to be LBJ.
High five.
High five again.
I like that pick. I totally
2
understand.
high fives.
I'm going for my power forward now, and this is going to be a controversial pick. I'm sure y'all are going to think it's very crazy, but I'll
hear it.
Before that, I picked the guy that I saw playing with other superstars in the national
Chris Bosh.
team. No, it was not Chris Bosh. But it's the guy I saw playing with other superstars in the national American team, and he was just balling out there, and he's able to fit with superstars. And it's the man himself, Carmelo Anthony.
Okay,
I knew it. I called it.
Let me keep going. Carmelo for me is one of the most threats when it comes to scoring the ball, man. It's just like when he was in his prime in the Nuggets and in the beginning in the Knicks, he was able to carry his team to the playoffs just on his scoring ability, because we all know Melo lacks a lot on defense. But man, that guy can score the rock. And he's just like, he's a threat at any point. And for me as a power forward, I couldn't think of another guy that impacted me. Other than Chris Bosh, obviously, because I'm a Miami Heat fan, but like nobody can take the spot from Melo, as I watched Melo's whole career, basically. So it was a no-brainer for me, man. I'm going with the scoring king himself.
I like it. Yo, do y'all remember Melo on the Knicks? And I forget what the surrounding team was. I think it was like JR and Mon Shumpert, right? And he was
Jeremy Lin.
Melo. Yeah. That was the same season. And it's just Melo keeping like the Knicks brand alive the whole season. Like, he was just balling out. I don't think many people like acknowledge that, like what he was doing during that season.
People forget what Melo did because of what he did on his late days with OKC, Rockets, and all that. But people like just keep forgetting that Melo was like a superstar, and on the national team, man, like he was like a legend playing with those players.
Definitely,
man. I cannot sleep on Melo.
I think one thing about Melo is like coming out of Syracuse. Obviously he got that national championship before coming into league to Denver, but Melo just kind of gets a bad rap like all the way through, because you look at him And like he's undeniable when it comes to scoring the ball offensively. Like some of his post moves are some of the best the NBA has really ever seen. Like that man dominated that low block. But I don't know. It comes down to he didn't play much defense. And I've heard guys like Chauncey Billups kind of talk about Melo. This was like more so when he was younger. But Melo, from what I've seen and read, Melo just seems to be like a guy that's only about Melo, you know. And I don't think that you can really win with a player like that. But I still like the pick, and Melo is what Melo is.
Yeah, and that pull up is just mean. God,
For
I
sure.
don't know what to say about it. It's just mean. All right, so what are we on? Power forward? Small
Yes.
forward?
Power.
I'm gonna go with LeBron. I don't think you could leave LeBron out of a starting five. I think if anybody's making a starting five, minus Tiago, you can't leave LeBron out. How many? Like, correct me. How many finals has he been to? Like consecutive now?
Too many. He's been to too many and not won enough. Is the answer to that question.
It's tough though. You know, that's what everybody's gonna argue about. Like he didn't win enough. But I mean, I still think he's a winner. And you partner him with him, Kobe, and the rest of my squad. I think we're winning everything. So I got LeBron at power forward.
Okay, now it's my turn. Yeah, and I think about Melo, we were talking about peak and effect. People only remember when what he's been doing recently, like last few years in his career. I think we were talking about peak and effect. For my power forward, I would take Karl Malone. One of the most physical players in NBA history. And what I like about him is, Kyle and Tiago, we've been playing basketball together for a long time. And Max, I missed that time I was injured.
Yeah,
I didn't have a chance to play with you, but I'm a huge fan of mid-range jumper. I can hit everything inside the arc, so I'm a huge fan of mid-range jumper, and I like to play old school basketball like Karl Malone did with John Stockton, pick and roll, pick and pop. He could shoot at mid-range and very high percentage of shooting. That's why I take him.
Totally. I think that's a great answer. The three players that I considered here were Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and Karl Malone. But walking away from it and like thinking about it for like 20 minutes before actually putting a final answer down, I had to go with Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan, in my opinion, is the greatest power forward in NBA history. And it's not just for what he did on the floor. You think about Tim Duncan, he's one of the greatest teammates of all time. There were time periods in San Antonio where he took pay cuts just to keep that core together. When you're thinking about, obviously Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, like he took pay cuts just to make sure they could stay together and keep making title runs. You think about it like this: 5-time NBA champion, 2-time league MVP, 3 times final MVP. And I think a lot of people have the notion that Duncan didn't move too well, but he's one of the greatest power forward defenders of all time. Like he was always in the right position, always contested shots, always found a way to grab rebounds. And I just think Tim Duncan, like while people acknowledge his greatness, I think that because he wasn't that loud, demonstrative guy that kind of was in your face, people kind of don't fully acknowledge how good he really was. But at power forward, I think Tim Duncan's got to be the answer.
I like that. his footwork is amazing too.
Yeah,
that's how he's getting all his buckets. So
exactly.
Yeah, and his bank shot.
Yeah, he's a silent killer.
And the technical foul.
I think Tim Duncan killed Miami way too many times.
True.
Oh, heck yeah.
I'll take my center position now, and I'm going for what for me is one of the best paint defenders of all time, and I was able to watch him play on his late days in Miami, and I'll go with Alonzo Mourning.
Wow, bro.
Oh man, Alonzo is a legend for us, man. There was like a myth in the NBA that you could not dunk over Mourning. There are like a handful of people that did. That guy was a beast on the paint, and I was thinking about Shaq here. I'm not gonna lie, because I also saw him play in Miami. It was a beast, but man, Alonzo just means so much for our franchise, and the game changing. Like he's been with us since Team Hardaway, and he came back to win that ring in 2006. And guy's just a beast on the paint. You know what I'm saying? He's like a true center right there. You just feed the guy on the paint. It's all his. So I'll go with him. So,
all right. This one I was kind of conflicted on because I didn't know I didn't know what center I needed to put into my team right here. Like, to continue with the fact that we're stretching the floor and that's how we kind of play now.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm just gonna take Shaq in this one. I think everybody can still play with him. I think everybody still agrees that he's the most dominant big man in NBA history. So, and there are ways that he can be stopped. Obviously, just stretch him out the paint, like force him to shoot. Things won't work out. And then obviously, we all know, get him to the free throw line, and that's how you stop him. But I think I'm gonna take Shaq on this one.
And for center position, I was thinking about Shaq. He's been dominating the pen area, but I would take Hakeem Olajuwon to be my center. And with that being said, I remember there's a story. Shaq was doing an interview talking about Hakeem Olajuwon. How big was him? How big was Olajuwon to Shaq? And he was saying that Hakeem Olajuwon was the only player who wasn't afraid of me when I was playing. That's cool, right? Shaq has always been a physical freak of nature, but Hakeem Olajuwon was there to stop him offensively and defensively. He's been doing everything, and the dream shake, the footwork. He's been reacting very fast on defense, defensively and offensively, and he never gets old. That footwork will always work for every player. Kobe has been asking him how to perform at that level to do those footwork, things like that. It's huge for me, that impact. And I've been watching his video, try to do his footwork, and it works for player in every position.
Totally. For my center thoughts, I thought about 3 players. I thought about Shaq, I thought about Hakeem Olajuwon, and I thought about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But I ended up coming down to Shaq, man. You know what's funny about Shaq? Shaq never won a league MVP. I thought that was interesting. I think I always kind of knew that, but didn't really solidify until kind of Googling stuff today.
He should have won that year. Nash won.
No, I think he won an MVP of the league.
He didn't. I was doing research. He's a 3-time finals MVP, but he never won the league MVP. He was the 1993 Rookie of the Year, and he was a 15-time first-team NBA. I mean, you look at his stats per game over the course of his career, 24 points, 11 rebounds. But what I like about Shaq the most is just his ability to just dominate the paint. I think a lot of people have the misconception that Shaq kind of just like bullied people and just bum rushed people into like dunking on them. There's that one video where he dunks on that white guy, I think it was Sean Elliott, and knocks him to the ground, and he just like fully straddles him, which is like classic. And then the guy picks up the ball and tries to throw it at him down the court. But the thing about Shaq is he had real moves in the paint. Like he was, he picked up moves from Hakeem Olajuwon. Like he could go back shoulder, front shoulder. He could face up even slightly. And I think another thing about Shaq is just his ability to open up the court for his other teammates. He demands so much attention down in the paint that I think he could open the floor up for other guys like MJ. He could open the floor up for Magic. He could open the floor up for LeBron. So I just like Shaq there. And I think the tandem of Shaq and Tim Duncan could go really well. And the last thing I want to say about Shaq is I think it's pretty well documented that the guy wasn't always the greatest teammate. There's been a lot of stories about his relationship with Kobe, and just even on his other stops, like kind of playing in Miami, kind of also playing in Boston. Like I kind of almost didn't pick him because I was like, I don't know if he'd be team cancer, but just on offensive skill alone, I went with Shaq.
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Shaq was MVP of the league in 1999.
He was.
He was MVP of the league.
Oof, man,
I'm sure he was, but
I need to fire my stat guy. I've been having this guy do research for me, so I guess he's fired.
I was pretty sure he was. I'm a big Shaq fan, but I just had to make sure.
Yeah,
he should have won another year though.
Yeah, he should, but he just won once when he got the first year in the Lakers.
Well, because they had that three-peat.
Yeah.
So that takes us to 6 man.
Yeah, this gets really interesting for me. So the only reason I didn't put this guy on my starting lineup was because of injuries. But and he was only a real 6 man in the late times of his career, which was short because of injuries, like I said. But for me, he's one of my favorite players of all time, man. And it's T-Mac.
Yeah.
I couldn't put a whole lineup without Tracy McGrady, bro. Like he never played for my team, I never played for Miami, but I always follow the teams that he played at since the Raptors. Bro, it's just T-Mac is just an explosive guy. I think like at some point in the league, the two more explosive shooting guards in the league was Kobe and T-Mac. And they were toe to toe, but although T-Mac went down with injuries, they were at some point they were just toe to toe battling out there. Man, this guy was just fantastic for me, bro. Like he was a great 3-point shooter. Guy cut to the basket, had these crazy dunks, like his cousin Vince Carter, bro. It was just like when he was in Orlando, if it wasn't the thing with Grant Hill being injured all the time, I don't even know how far that team could have went, you know. So I just couldn't let it go, man. Like he's not higher on my list because of injuries, like I said. But I had to make it. I'll go with Tracy.
Totally.
Nice. Oh, real quick, back to what you said with Shaq and Tim Duncan, Max. I don't know if that'd be like a good combo. I feel like they'd crowd the paint. Like, don't you think so?
I think that's an interesting
I
question.
just had to go back to it, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that's an interesting question. I see like Tim as a guy in that scenario where he's playing with Shaq. I see as Tim being kind of a guy that hangs out like kind of 10 feet away, extended at the baseline, and kind of also does a lot of work at the elbows. Like in that scenario, Tim wouldn't be operating in the post like Shaq would. That would be mostly Shaq. But then obviously, like we're only making 6 picks here. But like if we were doing a whole entire lineup, like I think if I were the coach of this team that I've somehow here crafted, I would kind of offset them in terms of minutes played. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
But I think your question is warranted though. I think it's a good question.
Yeah. All right. My 6, I'm gonna go with Kevin Durant. 7 foot player who can score from anywhere on the court, and arguably, you know, one of the top scorers. I want to say in history, you know, not necessarily the top, but up there. He can score from anywhere on the court, you know, from all levels, you know, in the paint, mid, 3. And, you know, when it comes down to it, that's the person you want to have the ball late game. So Kevin Durant as the 6th man.
Cool. KD. I will have Kobe to be my 6th man. The killer instinct. He can contribute on the court whenever the teammates need, whenever the team needs him. You know, he can score whenever he wants to. You know, and that's kind of that's that kind of player that you want to have on the team as a 6th man. What can you ask for more? Yeah, I will have Kobe.
Totally. For my 6th man, I went to a player that Will was talking about earlier. I went with Scottie Pippen. I've been watching The Last Dance documentary that they're doing, the 10-part series about Michael Jordan. And it's kind of like Will said, people acknowledge that Scottie was a big part of that team, but I don't think that the Bulls ever get anywhere near 6 rings without Scottie. Scottie is the ultimate glue guy. Scottie plays tremendous defense, can guard any position on the floor. He can handle the rock, facilitate the offense. He's a 7-time NBA All-Star, 6-time champ, 10-time first team all NBA defensive player. I think with the players that I have and the skill sets, Scottie would be perfect off the bench because he can do a little bit of everything. He's kind of like that Joker card you have in a deck, right? Where you just let him come in, do his thing. So I went with Scottie as 6th man.
Nice.
Great.
I like that one.
Yeah, kind of throwing it back a little bit. I also really thought about Kevin Durant here too. Because just for like his scoring expertise and to hit on what you were saying, it's unquestionable that Kevin Durant is one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. I think when it's all said and done, KD will easily be anywhere from like 5 to 2 in all-time NBA scoring, assuming he can come back from this injury and not, you know, continue to get injured throughout the rest of his career.
Mm-hmm. And then if you want to make that argument, you know, who are the best scorers? He's always up there. You know, you can't leave him out that argument.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah, totally. So. Just the rate of his scoring. Like, obviously, he started in Seattle. I can't remember if it was 1 year or 2 years before they moved to Oklahoma City. But I think his scoring percentages and his rates in the first beginning years of his career were like at all-time highs. And he was on this torrid pace to kind of like, you know, break all these historic NBA scoring records.
Right. I gotta say this too. I left MJ out, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I left MJ out. But it's almost like I'm just like assuming that everybody's gonna have him in his all time
Right.
starting five. So I was like, let me switch it up today. Let me not throw in MJ. But I mean, he's a great, like, you can't leave him out, obviously. And we have everybody watching this, documentary now. So, just I got to throw that out there. I didn't want to really keep him out, but,
That's why
just
I
had to
said
mention it.
at the documentary that other documentary off the podcast that my picks were going to be based on my experience as a fan and players that marked me and players that I would think would actually fit together. Because obviously I didn't put MJ, Kobe, and LeBron on my starting five, and that would be fucking insane if I had to pick the best players of all time. I'm aware of that. Where MJ would never miss it. I mean, but I still think my six player roster is pretty solid. It's just all players that inspired me through the times. So yeah. But I agree with y'all picks. Don't get me wrong.
I think one thing about this conversation too is like it's never ending. This is a conversation that gets had at backdoor barbecues, in barber shops, in malls, everywhere across the country, so many different times a year. And it's almost like a futile conversation in the sense that it's like there's been so many great players, past and present, that have come into the league. So it's like, why try and always compare them or argue about who's better? Let's just kind of like enjoy them for what they are and appreciate it. But I think it's just for the sake of conversation and kind of tossing the shit around. It's always just a fun conversation to have.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of my
and from here, here we get to know how would you like your team to be, and maybe your coaching style. If you're going to be a basketball coach, how would you like your team to be? Things like that, and you get to know his personality and his preference toward playing styles. I think it's a cool conversation to have.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
That being said, I think now let's just go right into kind of players today. It doesn't have to be today. It could be past that we just really liked watching play, or if it's like we watched them growing up, whether they were on our favorite teams or other teams, where it was like, man, I just really like his play style, like his mentality that he brings to the game, and it kind of inspired us to get involved. So that being said, Tiago, why don't you tell us somebody that you really mess with?
Yeah, I'll start up with the NBA right away. It's the topic I'm talking about. I've said a lot about Wade already. I've been growing up as a Miami Heat fan because of him. I started out because of Shaq was in the team, but then I just became a huge Wade fan. I remember being back in Portugal and watching those Slam magazine covers. It was just crazy, man. Just Wade just had his own style. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was the guy. But I'm not going to be talking about him at this point. I'll start off with the fact that I picked Allen Iverson on my starting five. Listen, to begin with, my favorite music genre was always hip hop. And growing up in somewhere not in America, I only got introduced to American hip hop way later, and that came instantly with the image of Allen Iverson. I just cannot explain it any other way, because when I started watching the NBA, the image that was within the players was inspired by Allen Iverson. You know, the baggy shorts, the clothes he used to wear, all the controversies, just even his interviews. You know, you were talking about practice interview, all of that, all of those conversations, they just made me love him. His whole style, the way he changed the game, the way he just did his own thing, and the fact that he made basketball so related to hip hop for me was just a blessing of a player. He was great to watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't watch the NBA when he made that crazy run with the 76ers against the Lakers, those finals. I was not watching the NBA at the time. I had to rewind on that one, but still, man, like, Allen Iverson has such a great impact on us. I know that on my hometown, just to wrap it up, we have a huge graffiti downtown there in Portugal of Allen Iverson. His famous celebration for the answer, near a basketball court. And man, that hits the feels. Once I found that out, I was like, damn, man, you know what? I like it.
That's
I
crazy.
like that Iverson influence.
You're going to have to show me that one day, Tiago.
Yeah, I will. I'll send you a picture.
Also, what's crazy is we thinking about, just reminiscing about these older players that we kind of watched growing up. Do y'all remember watching AI and Iggy playing? Like, that was a crazy combo.
Yeah.
Tell me that wasn't.
Yeah, Iguodala was young, man, very young.
Yeah, that was excitement in Philly with those black jerseys too. God,
yeah,
two AI on the team.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't two big teams for me. That 76ers team with those black jerseys, and then that Nuggets team with Melo and J.R. Smith.
Yeah, bro, that team went crazy too.
Yeah, that's great.
That was fun to watch, man.
So we're talking about NBA, and a player that I think all basketball players have, felt, inspiration from is Kobe. Everybody grew up watching him. I for sure grew up watching him. I had all of his shoes, ran through them like crazy. And it's just so much that could be said about Kobe, the killer instinct. And that's what every player wants to, or that's what every player was like striving for when they're playing the game. That's what everybody loved about Kobe. So competitive. He wanted to win. And you knew he was going to go out there and get it done. So as a basketball player myself, and I think Will could say this too, this is a player that we definitely look up to. And, so it's so tragic to see that he wasn't able to enjoy his retirement and all that. So once again, rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Totally.
Yeah, rest in peace, Kobe. Yeah, when I saw that tragedy, I feel like a part of me was taken. But to be honest, my the player who inspired me, I would say MJ, and I think MJ was the one who inspired Kobe too. And MJ has a huge impact on me in terms of basketball and my career. For basketball, I've never seen him play, but when I was 9 or 10, I can't remember. I was in a library. I was in a shopping mall. I walked into a library and I spent like 3 to 4 hours looking. I was reading his book. I was reading his autobiography. I was reading what he has done on the court, off the court, and it was really inspiring because when Detroit Pistons, that bad boys, beat him up, destroyed him, he couldn't get rid of them. And after being defeated by Detroit Pistons, he worked on his physical ability. He's been training a lot. He's been lifting weights to build his muscles, and with that said, it has a huge impact on me. So when I finished my high school, I was in during college. I'm going to compete at a different level, so I know I would have to have that preparation before entering to college. So I did that kind of preparation. I was building my muscle, and it helped me a lot to perform at a different level. So that's how MJ has been a huge impact for me.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Will. Like one of the points that documentary really touches on is like when the Bulls were going up against those great Pistons teams, they just couldn't get over the hump. Year 2, year 3, I think if it was not 2 years, it was 3 years where they couldn't get past the Pistons. But they talk about just like the physical beatdowns that those bad boy Pistons would put on Kobe, or not Kobe, they put on MJ, they put on Scotty, and it was just like, they talk about him just getting in the gym, lifting weights, getting stronger to the point. It was like the Pistons were trying to beat him down, but MJ, he was taking the hits and just laughing, and just getting buckets. So that was one of my favorite parts actually about the documentary. But when it comes to my pick, I'm going to pivot here from where you guys were in the NBA. I'm going to go with Charles Woodson. The 1998 number 2 selection by the Oakland Raiders at the University of Michigan. At the University of Michigan, Charles won the Heisman Award as a defensive back, as a wide receiver, and a punt returner. That is something you will never see in college football again. People to be that versatile and just be so successful in so many different categories. But so Charles started off with the Raiders. In 2006, he went to the Packers. He won a Super Bowl with the Packers in 2010. He was Defensive Player of the Year in 2009. One of my greatest memories is when Charles decided to return to the Raiders in free agency in 2013. Woodson is that type of player that embodied the spirit of what it meant to be an Oakland Raiders on and off the field, man. In the community, the guy was just a legend. He did everything he could for the city of Oakland. And it's just like, when I really think about it, he's obviously a surefire Hall of Famer, but you could also make the argument that he's the best defensive back in the NFL ever. Because you look at his versatility. He played cornerback on the outside. He played nickel as cornerback in the inside. He played free safety at times. He could blitz the quarterback, stop the run, and also defend tight ends. So he's just a legend. He embodies everything that it is to me about being a Raider. And I'll never forget C. Wood getting those last 2 interceptions against Peyton Manning, and he throws up that O, because everybody knows it's a Raiders fan. When you throw up that O, it's about town business. So Charles Woodson it is.
I like that little Oakland stuff right there.
Exactly.
At the NFL, because I had 2 players in really had to bring it out. And they are both in the NFL, or one of them is still in the NFL. I'll start off with my favorite tight end, Zach Ertz. He's still playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to talk about Zach Ertz because I play football myself. And when I started playing football, I was put into the tight end position because I was tall and I had good hands because I played handball when I was a kid. And I was not really, I was pretty clueless on how to learn routes and how to learn how to play my position. So I started looking for players, and obviously I found out like some Gronkowski highlights. I found out some, damn, I forgot his name. The guy from the Chiefs.
Kels.
No, not the current.
Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez, obviously. I don't know how that lapse happened in my head. But when it comes to routes and doing like really nice I had to go with Zach Ertz, man. When I started watching his highlights from Stanford and in the Eagles, when it comes to learning the routes and learning the plays, that was the guy. He was a complete tight end. It's like the basic stuff. And although he's not the most flashy tight end like Gronkowski or Tony Gonzalez, I thought he had all the essentials for someone who's learning the position. So I became just a right away straight fan from him. And I still support him, although he's not on my team.
Nice. I don't have any from the NFL, so I'm going to go to the people who inspired me to get into soccer and the people I watched growing up. So my number one is Ronaldinho. And Ronaldinho, of course, won the Ballon d'Or 2005. I think that was one of the last people to win it before Messi and Ronaldo started going back and forth. I think Kaká ended up winning another year too, but this is just like the flashiest player I know. Like if you watch his highlights on YouTube or anything, everything is just skill with him. Like he's going to embarrass you while you're on the field. And I don't know how he does it. The ball just like never leaves his foot. And if it does, like he's controlling it. It's like he's a mastermind with it. And the crazy thing is he's just always having fun too. So he's on the field, he scores, you see him hitting them little dances, whatever. Always have me hyped. And then he's also known as a party animal. So, his time in Barcelona, that man was going crazy. And so I think that's the reason why they ended up having to get him out when Messi came in. They didn't want to mess up Messi's image and, ruin him into becoming a great player. So they went ahead and kicked him out. And then the next couple of people are just like all Brazilian players. So from here, you could tell I'm just really into Brazilian soccer. So it was Pele, one of the greats, and Kaká. Those are my other two players that, I just always watch highlights and they all play the same style because, they're just amazing what they do. So those are the people who got me into soccer, really. And that's the reason why I play now.
Yeah, and the coolest thing in Brazilian soccer is they play to enjoy, and they enjoy playing.
Yeah,
right. That's the way that's the way to succeed. You enjoy the process. You trust what you've been doing. You enjoy the result because you've been putting a lot of work into it. Yeah, I think that's an important point. And for me, I don't know many names in NFL. I know O.J. Simpson, Aaron Hernandez, for some reasons. And I would say who inspired me was Jeremy Lin, because physically he wasn't physically amazing, but he's not that talented when it comes to athleticism, but he's smart. He reads the game. He knows how to play. He knows how to find his teammates, and he can make sacrifices. He's willing to make sacrifices, and I think that's what makes him special. And he's also a very inspiring person. I met his brother, Joseph Lin, at the gym where I was working at. We had a few conversations, and he was telling me that because I was a Division 2 player in Taiwan, he said, "Hey, you know what? My brother was in Division 1, but he didn't get that kind of attention. And I myself, Joseph Lin, I was a Division 3 player, but I'm not playing professional basketball in Taiwan. So just don't give up. Believe in yourself, and you'll be the best version of yourself." And yeah, I like it. I like it idea.
Yeah, dude, I think that's a great point. I like that personal story you added too about meeting his brother. That's pretty awesome.
Hold up, Max, real quick. I love
Yeah.
how the only NFL players he knows are just some killers right there.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Talk about straight felons, bro.
They are some killers. What can I say?
For real, Will's about that killer lifestyle. Speaking of killers, this is a great segue for me, actually.
Oh
I'm
man,
gonna go right back to the NBA. Kevin fucking Garnett, bro. What can I
nice.
say about that
Mm.
guy, KG, man? An elite scorer, an elite defender at the power forward position. But what I really enjoyed about KG was his tenacity and hunger on the court, bro. Nobody was going to outwork that man. Like, he brought his lunch pail to work every single day. He put in the hours, and that just shows by the body of the work that he has in the league. And that second point that I like about KG is, bro, when I played sports, whether that was travel baseball, not so much on the baseball, it kind of gets harder there. But when I played high school basketball, man, I like to talk a little bit of shit. I thought that was always a fun part of the game. And you think about Kevin Garnett, bro. Kevin Garnett wrote the book. Kevin Garnett
Man.
wrote the book. And I don't know, like, if you guys haven't seen videos or you haven't heard him mic'd up, anybody that's listening to this, go onto YouTube, type in KG mic'd up. You'll see videos. He'll be on the court at one moment. He'll be talking to some player, talking some mad shit about somebody's mama, just saying your mama this, your mama that. And then it'll cut to another video where he's sitting on the bench in street clothes, not even playing in a game, just fucking yelling at people, hollering at people. And so that was an aspect I liked about KG, dude. He's just a killer on the court, and he's doing some interesting stuff now, just in media as well. I don't think his Area 21 show is coming back to TNT next year, but I like that the same things that made him great on the court is like he hasn't changed since, like, you know, channeling himself into these media aspects. Like, he's still that KG we all know and love. So yeah, I rock with KG for sure.
Definitely.
All right, that's a nice pick. I'll go on a more personal side now, and I'm still gonna stay in the NFL. So I told my story with Zach Ertz and how I started playing and modeling my game around his tight end skills. But there's a wide receiver that I love watching him play in the Dolphins, and he might not seem very relevant to many people. He's Brandon Marshall, but the thing about Brandon Marshall is that he dealt with a lot of mental issues while playing the game, and he's being like an ambassador when it comes to take care of players' mental health. And I'm going to mention Brandon Marshall. Why? So when I started playing football, one of my main reasons to play such an aggressive game was to take out all my anxieties and problems that I felt at home or that were troubling my head into the game. So I thought like that was nothing normal, you know, that I never thought there was another player with the same anxiety issues. I'd even say like closer to depression because I had some rough years when I started playing football. So that was probably the hardest time of my life personally. But at the athletic level, it was one of the best years of my life. So when I found out Brandon Marshall playing for the Dolphins, even though it's my favorite team, it's the Dolphins. That's not why I picked them. It's just because of the fact that he kept fighting for a role as a wide receiver in the league, even though he was fighting all of these mental issues. And after being out of the league, he's really focusing now on helping players that have these struggles with anxiety and depression, which I think is very important because people tend to forget that athletes are also persons and people just tend to keep criticizing them by any mistake they make, and they forget how that can impact their personality and their psychological side. I can mention players like Markel Fultz, who had to be really strong mentally to keep striving on this league and not giving up after people calling him bust after he was the first pick at the 76ers. So I think Brandon Marshall has a huge impact for people who deal with anxiety like me. So yeah, I mean, shout out to Brandon Marshall, man. He's been doing a great job following up with those players and doing his own thing. And he was also a great wide receiver in his prime. And as a Dolphin, it was a huge part of our team at that time.
Yeah, I think just to interject really quickly about Brandon Marshall, I think all those points that you just hit on there were great because I think when Marshall began his career in Denver, he kind of got, this title, or he was recognized as just kind of a jackass because he was doing all this wild stuff. But I think there was so much going on for him, like under the surface, that he wasn't talking about, that he was kind of lashing out and acting out, but there was all these like X, Y, and Z variables that were affecting him, but he didn't talk about. But once he kind of got towards the latter stage of his career, a little bit there in Miami as well, I just can't credit him enough for because let's think about it. Let's be honest. For an athlete to step up and say, hey, yeah, I'm making millions of dollars. Yeah, at one point I was one of the top 3 best receivers in the NFL, but it's I'm a person. I struggle too. And I want to make this a conversation point so people, whether it's in the MLB, NBA, or NFL, if they're going through these same things, I'm an ally, I'm a resource, you can rely on me. So I think just Brandon Marshall deserves all the credit in the world for just being brave and standing up for a lot of other people that were too afraid to come forward.
Yeah, man, that's the real stuff. Real stuff. So, player that really inspired me, or I'll say an athlete that really inspired me, and this is a big one for me, is Serena Williams. So, yeah, I'm going off of all the traditional sports. So, Serena here, and I will say it's hard to determine who's the greatest athlete of all time, right? And I'm gonna be wild here, but I've always thought that Serena is. Look at what she's done in her sport, right? And she's still going. Of course, you have people, such as LeBron, who's, still killing in his sport. And then you can look at, whoever's killing in football now, and soccer, But Serena's just always been a top athlete to me. And I love winners. So she's a winner, 23 Grand Slam single titles. She's always at the top of her game. And even if she's not ranked number 1, people are still oh, I got to play Serena. This is someone serious. And she trains, she does everything she can to make sure that she's in shape and she's ready to compete at the highest level. And on top of that, she won with the little person inside of her.
I was gonna say, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't she not play as a pregnant lady too?
She won while she was pregnant.
That's crazy.
I can't do that.
I didn't know that.
I mean,
it's so wild.
It is. And then something else that's cool about it too, her and her sister have been dominating for the longest. Of course, she's, been on the winning side of all of it. But imagine you get to play your sister and 7 Grand Slam titles of how many, I don't think many brothers and sisters and whatever, family can do that. So I think this is all great stuff coming from her. So she's always been a major person. And then my mom loves her. So there we go.
We should tag Aaron Calhoun here.
Definitely.
She loves Serena Williams. Remember, she mentioned Serena Williams in Cellini's class. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Aaron plays tennis.
Yeah, I love that. But I didn't know that she was playing when she was pregnant. I didn't even know that. The player who inspired me is another. He's not an NBA player. Jeff Wu. He's a Taiwanese. He's a little bit younger than me. We have a personal connection. When I was working in the gym, he came to our gym and he's been working out really hard. And he's a hard worker. And his humbleness is something that I look up to. He was the first Taiwanese born and raised basketball player who were awarded with NCAA Division I basketball scholarship.
Wow.
He was awarded by Sacramento State.
Okay.
Yeah, and he played. He's now playing in CBA for Shanghai Sharks, the organization owned by Yao Ming. Yeah, he's a great player. He works really hard, and he's not that tall. He's around 6'2". He's not that tall, and what it means to me was because in Taiwan there's a system. After playing in junior high school basketball league, you have to move up to HBL, High School Basketball League, and then to UBA, University Basketball Association. There's a system you have to follow, but he didn't follow that system because he wanted to explore. So after when he was 15, after his junior high school, his parents sent him to United States, and it was a new environment for him. And I didn't ask him. Maybe he couldn't. Maybe he couldn't really speak English, but he was working hard. He was willing to sacrifice, and he can play defense. That's a huge impact. He plays defense, and he realized he realized what he has to do in a new environment. Because when he was playing in Taiwan, he was dominating 6'2" in junior high school. He was a beast. He could do everything. He could dunk, but 6'2" to United States is a different thing. He had to sacrifice. He had to be a team player. He may not have a chance to take as many shots as he wanted to when he was in Taiwan. And there are a lot of great players in NCAA, and he knew that. So he didn't go to the NBA draft. He knew what was going on there. So he went to ABL, Asian Basketball League, and he joined Formosa Dreamer as one of the youngest players on that team. And he made a lot of contribution on defensive end, and he was good. And then he was drafted by Shanghai Sharks. And I think that was a great story to tell, because he realizes what's going on there, and he knows the game, and he knows the game on and off the court. And I think that's most important part to be an athlete.
Totally. I think those are some great points. I think also for any of the audience members that are listening, you just gave them a player to search in on Google, because I don't think many people are going to know about this guy. But I like that point of view, Will. I think that was a good pick. To conclude stuff here, though, I think just to round up this list of players that we either watch play, or we just like them, just how they acted on the court, I think I'm going to have to go with Mr. Michael Trout of the Major League Baseball. Dude, you just watch Trout play, man. He's just so fun to watch. And I'm an A's fan. The A's play in the same division as the Angels, but I can say definitively that he's just the most entertaining player to watch in Major League Baseball. The guy pretty much just moves in slow motion in everything that he does, whether he's at the plate, on the base paths, or just tracking down balls in center field. I think he's really the best talent to come into the league since Ken Griffey Jr. And if it's, comes down to my own opinion, I think that he is better and will have a continually better career than Ken Griffey Jr. did. Obviously, Ken Griffey had a lot of injury setbacks that kind of stopped him from reaching his full potential. I think if Ken Griffey Jr. might not have gotten injured, he might have actually broken the home run record. That's speculative, of course, but I just think Trout's a star, and it's like the MLB is having a lot of problems when it comes to promoting their athletes and their marketability. But if the MLB can ever figure out how to market and broadcast these players to just a global audience, I think Trout would be on every advertisement and billboard all across the country and all across the world globally, because I think his reach and his impact on the game of baseball is just second to none at the moment.
Yeah, you're right. Let's tag Jeremy Dollo to these conversations. Personal branding.
I thought about mentioning that too.
I love Mike Trout.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love Mike Trout. He's been great. And when I went to Angel Stadium last year, and I was watching him play, his physical ability, he's so strong. He was so strong. He's so strong. He hit the home run like it was nothing. And it was a line drive all the way through the wall. It was crazy, line drive, home run. I thought it was going to be a single, but it kept flying all the way through the wall, and I was like, "Okay, cool. This is Major League Baseball. Okay, here I am. It's cool."
Yeah. Real quick. I think one MLB player that I really used to watch, Ichiro.
Yeah.
Like, just thinking about it, that was an OG I used to use when I was playing any MLB game, and that's just the main MLB player I could think of right there.
Hey, I'm not going for MLB, but I need you to let me do one last reference.
You got one more? Lay it on us.
Yeah, it's the last one, I promise. And I'm going back to the NBA. I'm not going to mention any of the other my favorite players. I said like T-Mac, Wade, or Iverson, but this one is special, man. This one made me look at the different way, in a more funnier way. And I'm going to talk about Jason Williams, man. White chocolate, bro. Like, Talking about players that influence the way that you look at the basketball game, the guy just made it more entertaining. Those crazy passes, man, and his whole story, like how he's been bouncing from team to team, and he ended up winning a ring with us in Miami. I mean, Jason Williams just had everything to be liked. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's this flashy point guard making these crazy passes and dribbles. It's like if the professor ever came to the league, that's how he would have played. You know what I'm saying? I mean, big shout out to Jason Williams, man. The guy just, man, day in, day out, just made it funnier to watch. And I'm so glad to have him in Miami and in our championship run.
100%. That guy's an icon. It's funny, like, he's not been in the league for a while now, but like you'll hear like players talk about him. Like I know Chris Webber loves Jason Williams. So I always talk about there's like a number of different NBA players that will say like Jason Williams is like one of their favorite teammates of all time. So I think like the legacy he leaves is kind of like, that white chocolate, that name, that brand stands for itself. But I think J Will, he's one of the coldest white guys to ever enter the league. There's no doubting that.
For sure.
That being said, I think we're wrapped up here. So just, a few things we talked about today. We kind of, Tiago put his own spin on things here a little bit with the players that he mentioned in his all-time 5. But the rest of us, we kind of did an all-time NBA starting 5 that we think that could compete at the highest level. We picked a 6-man off the bench. And then we just got into, kind of a more open conversation, talking about players that we really enjoyed watching growing up, whether they inspired us to get on the basketball court, the soccer field, the football field, or the baseball field. Like they were just all guys that we really liked. And, I think as we get older and, the times begin to change and more athletes come in, we will never forget those players. And lastly, I think we need to say, Will, thank you for joining us, man. Taking the time all the way from Taiwan. We can't thank you enough, bro. We'd love to have you on again.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I have a great time, and I can't wait for next time. When's next time? Tell me.
Next time's whenever you want to be on, bro. We're coming up with topics, so when I think of something new and I think Will would be about that life, I'll definitely hit you up with the name drop for sure. All right.
You are always welcome.
Yeah, sure.
All right, tight. I think that wraps up.
International love.
Exactly. We got 2 international squads on here. We got Tiago from Portugal and Will dropping in from Taiwan. That being said, I think we're a wrap here on episode 3. Thanks for rocking with the Between the Line podcast.
Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed the video, give us a like. If you would like to add something to discussion or give us any ideas or topics on our future shows, feel free to comment. And as always, don't forget to subscribe.